The Spirited Woman, The Art and Poetry of Todd Martin. Behind every great man is a great woman rolling her eyes. This quote belongs to Jim Carrey from the movie Bruce Almighty. I found it funny because, of course, there's some truth to it. True success is most often a team effort, and there is no team more important than that of husband and wife. Although the accolades of success often go to one member of the team more than the other, it is the combined effort, the mutual inspiration and perspiration, and the shared sacrifice that opens the gates of opportunity. When someone congratulates me for an accomplishment, I smile and I imagine my wife thinking to herself how much effort it took her for me to achieve it. And she's right. It is the unique nature of womanhood to frequently demand the embodiment of a myriad of roles, from mother to career professional to caregiver to friend and nurturer, and there is often little tangible reward. Gratitude can be fleeting, if it ever comes at all. It takes a strong and spirited woman to toil without complaint and recognize that she is the pillar and the glue. Without her, none of it would be possible. It is this spirited woman who deserves celebration. The Spirited Woman is a poem that celebrates the indispensable character of a woman who can embody all of the roles required of her while still displaying joy and gratitude. It was inspired by my own wife, Belle, without whom I would be lost, but with whom each day feels like an opportunity to build something new. The poem spawned a series of artworks that I painted between 2011 and 2013. I would like to share these paintings along with the poem that reflects the deep love and respect that I have for my wife, Belle, and at the same time recognize all of those other Belles out there that not only make the world go around, but make it beautiful in the process. The Spirited Woman. The Spirited Woman cherishes her friends, always finding time in her busy schedule to listen with her whole heart and mind and share in the trials and blessings of life. The Spirited Woman gathers beautiful things around her, so when she emerges from deep and serious thoughts, she is reminded that joy can come from the little things, and in so doing gains strength for the road to come. The Spirited Woman plays like a child, with laughter bubbling up from deep within, in those moments letting go completely and revealing the young girl who still resides there. The Spirited Woman revels in nature. She sees the energy of life in all things, and the nurturer in her blossoms like a flower. For there is always hope where life can grow. The Spirited Woman cultivates an art or a craft so she can give a part of herself to those she loves, whether it be a song, a quilt, or a chocolate cake. These gifts are priceless because they are her. The Spirited Woman honors her parents, acknowledging the gift of her life and giving thanks where none is asked and none required, and thus is all the more deserved. The Spirited Woman is the chief of operations. Her company is her family, no matter how wealthy or modest. When others rest, she knows there is still work to be done. And if her wells are filled, she marches on without complaint. The Spirited Woman gives in to love, because in love she can be her true self. But in that state is at her most vulnerable and is in much need of a noble man. The paintings and their inspiration. The Spirited Woman cultivates an art or a craft so she can give a part of herself to those she loves, whether it be a song, a quilt, or a chocolate cake. These gifts are priceless because they are her. This is Belle at the piano, although she's showing off more of her love of vintage dress than her musical skills in this painting. Belle's true craft is dancing, and that I am blessed to share with her. We met teaching Argentine tango at a school in San Diego in 1997, and we have been teaching and performing together ever since. But passion for creativity and expanding one's horizons need have no limits, so Belle has made a valiant effort at learning music as an adult. Not an easy task with all of those pulls and tugs of day-to-day responsibility. But with any luck, life can be long, and there is no need to race to perfection. Over the long haul, slow perseverance will lead to steady improvement. This is true not only of crafting and arts, but of all other skills. Life and growth should go hand in hand, so stagnation should not be an option. It is never too late to learn a new skill, and over the years you might surprise yourself with what you can develop. You might even find a second career for your retirement. My first goal in this painting was to establish the effect of the light coming through the window, dispersed by the shutters before falling on the carpet and the piano. I liked the idea of a somewhat darker room lit by the broken light from the outdoors. Capturing Belle's clothing, with its various textures and embellishments, is a fun process. When it comes to clothing, my paintings are a collaborative effort. I ask her what she would like to wear, and she selects the fashion palette. Belle's fashion sense is daring, but not in the way we commonly see these days. She's more apt to don pantaloons than yoga pants. Sometimes a flower in the hair, or sometimes a cloche. Sometimes the old and sometimes the new. Knowing all the trends, but following her own style. The dress of the spirited woman is often unpredictable, never boring, but at the same time never tawdry. Listening to beautiful music elevates the spirit and feeds the soul. Creating beautiful music does the same, but with even more potency. It is never too late to learn an instrument. You don't have to become a concert pianist. You can enjoy the process from the first day. That is, unless you take up the oboe. The spirited woman cherishes her friends, always finding time in her busy schedule to listen with her whole heart and mind and share in the trials and blessings of life. Sitting down to share life with friends, even when it seems there aren't enough hours in the day, is a virtue which should not be lost. Texting and social networking on the computer should not substitute for that invaluable face-to-face connection with others. In this painting, Belle sits and chats with one of her best friends, Celeste. The scene is located in Coronado, California, kitty corner to the Hotel Dell. But I decided to change the details of the true location, swapping surf shops for restaurants and concrete benches for cafe tables. A truer depiction of the same Coronado location is shown in a painting that will appear later in the book. My original plan was to go with smaller figures, but ultimately I decided I wanted to look more like you were standing there than having an aerial view. The spirited woman gathers beautiful things around her, so when she emerges from deep and serious thoughts, she is reminded that joy can come from the little things, and in so doing gains strength for the road to come. You can never have too many flowers, whether they are in the garden, on the balcony, or in a vase, or in your hair. Flowers rule. Belle gathers flowers from the yard to help beautify the home. Even if no one seems to notice, the little touches of love around the house are what make it a home. Surrounding ourselves with pretty things of all sorts can keep the positive energy flowing even when the fatigue is setting in. So don't skip on the pretty things. This was the original sketch that I made for the painting of the house and rose garden. The home is not actually mine, but one that I happened upon while driving around looking for pretty scenery. The stone wall out front immediately caught my eye, and I knew it would be great for a painting. I liked it so much that I painted it twice. You will see the second painting later on in the book. I wanted to capture the architecture and geometry of the home along with the wall in the sketch before letting loose with the paint. Once I get the basic structure there, I like to be more free-handed with the landscape elements. The spirited woman plays like a child, with laughter bubbling up from deep within, in those moments letting go completely and revealing the young girl who still resides there. In the painting Hide and Seek, I strove to capture the freedom and joy of childhood, or at least the way I remember it. The children depicted in the painting are me and my brothers, Paul and Jeff, my wife Belle, her sister Angelica, and Angelica's husband Mickey. If you have been paying attention so far, it shouldn't take much effort to pick out Belle. She's the one sporting the pantaloons and is the one more keen on showing off her dancing than on finding a legitimate hiding place. I was inspired to paint the previous painting as a follow-up to a smaller painting that I did just before it, depicting 4 children playing hide and seek at twilight in a field with the trees in silhouette. I drove by this field one day on my way home from work and saw the silhouetted tree in the back and immediately imagined a child counting down in a game of hide and seek. His trusty dog would be by his side, eager to help out. When I finished the painting, I instantly wanted to paint it again, but in full daylight. Don't lament the end of childhood, because it is never too late to act like a child, just probably not while you're at work. On second thought, maybe work is the most important place to act like a child. Have curiosity and enthusiasm, a zest for learning new things, and a feeling that you're just getting started even when you are far from it. These childhood traits could serve you well on the job and just possibly make your life more fun. Be physically active, because that is the best way to keep feeling young as the years tick by. Be the person who plays tennis when they're 80, not the one who tells people, "Don't get old," when they're only 50. Of course, bad luck can happen to anyone, but don't stack the deck against yourself. Physical activity doesn't mean you have to live in the gym. Maybe just go outside and fly a kite. The spirited woman revels in nature. She sees the energy of life in all things, and the nurturer in her blossoms like a flower, for there is always hope where life can grow. Feeding ducks at Seaport Village was one of the first in this series of paintings. Seaport Village is one of my favorite places to walk around in San Diego. It sits at the south end of downtown, right on the harbor. The pond in the center is always full of ducks, and at the right time of year is full of their chicks. This is a great place to experience the city, but also be connected to nature at the same time. In this painting, Belle is feeding the ducks, but that is against the rules at Seaport Village, so this is just artistic license. After all, the spirited woman always respects the rules. The spirited woman honors her parents, acknowledging the gift of her life, and giving thanks where none is asked and none required, and thus is all the more deserved. The preceding painting is of the Alcazar Garden in Balboa Park in San Diego. Belle and I were there with her mother on a summer afternoon. The garden is nestled in the courtyard of one of the Spanish architecture buildings that were built for the 1915 to 1916 World's Fair. I remember walking down one path as Belle and her mom walked down the other. I looked up and saw the two, and it was like seeing a finished painting. I yelled, "Stop!" and snapped a photo that was the basis for this painting. Belle shades herself and her mom with a vintage parasol, in my opinion, an underutilized accessory. The spirited woman is the chief of operations. Her company is her family, no matter how wealthy or modest. When others rest, she knows there is still work to be done, and if her wells are filled, she marches on without complaint. This is the original painting of the Coronado street scene depicted earlier. The true setting is represented in this painting, with the storefronts being shown the way they are in real life. When I created this, I was fascinated by trying to capture the shadows cast on the walls and the ground by the many trees. It's quite interesting to ponder the complexities of shadows and how they may best be represented. It is this type of curiosity that drives me to paint. Belle marches on to complete the errands of the day. Sometimes the tasks can seem menial, but all must be accomplished for the home to run properly. The spirited woman gives in to love, because in love she can be her true self, but in that state is at her most vulnerable, and is in much need of a noble man. This is the original sketch of the restaurant. The actual restaurant is Davanti, a wonderful Italian restaurant in Little Italy in downtown San Diego. There were too many letters in Devonte, so I renamed the restaurant Belle's. The geometry of the scene is what drew me to this subject matter. The angles and the vanishing lines were very attractive. The wrought iron designed fencing surrounding the patio was a fun challenge. In reality, the color of the whole restaurant is charcoal, so that wasn't working for me. It took me a while to come up with this satisfactory alternative, but it makes most people think it's a restaurant in New Orleans.